Assalamu alaikum, family. Peace to the gods, peace to the earths, and all of the righteous families of the planet. It's your big brother Fahiym back once again with another quick bill for the family. Today I wanted to go over a degree in our lost found Muslim lesson number 1, the second degree or second question in our 1 to 14. Question. Why did Musa have a hard time civilizing the devil in 2000 BC? Answer, because he was a savage. A savage means a person that has lost the knowledge of himself and who is living a beast life. Musa was a half original man and a prophet. 2000 BC means before Christ. In the Asiatic world, it was the 11,000 year. Civilize means to teach the knowledge and wisdom of the human families of the planet Earth. In my breakdowns, first I begin breaking down the first part. Because he was a savage. A lot of our young brothers nowadays love using this word savage. I'm a savage. You got 21 savage. You got 22 savage. You got so many, young cats, that like using this word savage. Like, it makes them tough or, not really understanding what a savage actually is. The white man was a savage then, and he is still a savage today. He is the original savage. A savage is one who is uncultivated. A savage is barbaric and ferocious and uncivilized in all of his ways and actions. He's a primitive thinker and lacks the rudimentary knowledge of his surroundings. A savage is a brute and has no regard for human life, or any life for that matter. The Caucasian white man is the only human being on this planet who properly fits this description. So, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad instructed us prior to his departure in 1975, let's refer to white people as the enemy or the slave master's children, terms like that, because a lot of the evil that we say white people are doing, a lot of our people are doing that same evil today. Maybe not on a large scale as the white man. When we talk about divine evils like Christopher Columbus and divine evils like King Leopold and just, they did it on a much, much, much more massive scale. Their murder and their killing and their mayhem. But on a small scale, the black man really fits the description of a savage as well by the way we've been acting. Living under this white man. So just like the nation or the civilization that Yaqub produced, he took the dissatisfied from out of the righteous nation and brought them off onto a place of his own where he can begin to manipulate. So for decades, for centuries, it took 600 years approximately to graft the Caucasian man from out of the original man. But during that 600-year process, we see nothing but lies going on the Isles of Patmos or Pilan. We see murder. We see, doctors lying, nurses lying, just, people just lying. Murder, killing, whatever the case may be. So in a society like that, what it produced was the Caucasian white man, who is a complete and total savage today with the absence of carbon melanin. Black people in America today, we've been placed in a similar situation on the Isles of Patmos or Pilan. Technically, not just the Bronx area, but in general, America. And we've been placed in America, which was founded by gangsters, murderers, killers. When the white man came over here and quote unquote discovered this new land or this new world, the king and the queen back in England was like, yo, get out of here. Open up the prison doors and let all of the murderers, all of the rapists, and guess where they went to live? Right over here in America. So we came up under a system of wickedness, debauchery, evil, gangsterism. America glorifies their gangsters, people like, what was it, Pretty Boy Floyd and John Dillinger and who was public enemy number one back during his time, back prior to the 1930s. But learning and living under these individuals, when we look today, even, people, John Gotti and some of these, Gambino and some of these wicked, evil men who've done wicked and evil things to other people. We've adopted that lifestyle and took it on to ourselves. So today, the black man is just as evil and does just as much heinous acts as the white man used to do. We do that today, just not on a large scale, but we do it today. A savage is a person that has lost the knowledge of himself and who is living a beast life. When a person has lost the knowledge of himself, he is indeed other than his own true self. Actually, in many respects, he's worse than the beasts of the jungle or the beasts of the field. When one studies the animals or the beasts of the field, you'll find that they mostly kill for a purpose. Most of the times it's for food, for survival. Animals don't kill for sport and play, nor do they have same-sex relationships. They respect their females. If a dog is in heat and he sees another female dog, he doesn't go take from the dog as we would do as human beings. So in many respects, animals are more civil or civilized than actual human beings. No animal is a mass murderer or a serial killer. Animals may kill oft times to be, to flee a certain situation, to run and go seek refuge. They may have to kill to get away, but other than that, animals don't kill and have a bloodlust as humans do. If you see two dogs could be fighting, or two animals or whatever, and a dog grab onto the other dog, and before he kills him, a lot of times if the other animal stops fighting, the dog will let go. He won't kill him, take his life, but it's just to let him know, hey, I'm boss here. You gonna tap out, or you know what I'm saying? And the dog lets him go. But as human beings, we have no compassion. Sometimes I watch these ignorant videos they post on Facebook or social media, and you see two guys fighting or two kids fighting, and one kid gets knocked down or falls to the floor, and the other kid is just still pounding on him. Like, the kid could be unconscious, they still hitting him. And like, who does that? What type of beast type of mentality or lifestyle are we living? 10 or 15 dudes jump on another dude and stomp his head into the cement and kill him, or make him go brain dead, or female for that matter. Look at what we've become under this Caucasian man's rule. Musa was a half original man and a prophet. Musa, the correct spelling, by the way, is M-U-S-A, from the transliteration Moses, in the Arabic language. In our lessons, we see M-O-S-S-A, Mossa. I remember when I first got my lessons, my degrees, I was like, Mossa. I don't say Musa. Why people say Musa? They say Mossa. But it could be either misprint, or it could be, either the messenger himself probably may have pronounced it in that way. We know that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that was one of the things he wasn't proficient in, and that was Arabic. So what he learned from Master Fard Muhammad, who was an Arab, he taught him what he knew, and the messenger, tried to pronounce it and, the best he could. But, certain words, like Quran, the messenger would pronounce Quran, or, certain words the messenger wasn't proficient in with Arabic. So it could be a variation of different things, why that word or that name is spelled that way. But the correct spelling from the Arabic transliteration is M-U-S-A. Musa is an Arabic name for Moses, and Moses is an Aramaic Hebrew name. Both Hebrew and Aramaic are Semitic languages spoken by the original nations of the planet. Moses was born a Hebrew Semite but was raised as an Egyptian Hamite among the pharaohs of Egypt. Mizraim was the original name for the Greek word Egypt. In Greek, the name Egypt means burnt face, because this is what the Caucasian man encountered when he first came to that land. People who weren't his complexion, that were real black in the face. Melanated people, highly melanated people who ran around and sunbathed and stuff, and vitamin D was, all up in us naturally, But he saw them and when he went back to Europe, man, their faces was burnt, they was black, So the name Egypt means burnt face in Greek language. Mizraim was the second son of Ham. All before that, it was known as Kemet. Biologically, the children of Shem and the children of Ham are one blood. So it was called Kemet even back, as we go back further into time. And then even before Kemet, some scholars, I've read certain books, are Tamaraean or Tamaray was another name for ancient Egypt. So it had many names over the course of its, time. Spiritually, the two were very much different from each other, the Hamite and the Shemites. Spiritually, the Hebrew was a Jew or a descendant from the line of Judah. The Hebrew Israelite was the chosen of God and his original people. The Egyptians had become a strange people unto God because of false worship, idolatry, the love of magic and enchantment, which is a false science, and it is very unmathematical. The Pharaoh had placed himself as a god beside Allah, the one true and living God, and made the children of Israel worship him. God raised up Moses, according to the Bible, to be a prophet and a warner to the rulers of that time. The true and forgotten history of Moses was taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was his travel up into the Caucasus mountain region to free the savage white race from their barbaric caveman mentality. So the story we read about Moses in the Bible, as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, 75% of what we read in the scriptures is prophetic. It didn't happen when you read it didn't happen back then. It's telling you a story about something that is going to happen during your time in the last days. Moses, what we read about him, only 25% is accurate historical information. There was a man named Moses or Musa, just like there was a man named Jesus or Yeshua ben Yosef or Isa alayhi salam. There were men. These were actual individuals. But just their roles and their jobs and some of the things that were uttered by them didn't really happen at the time that we're reading it in scriptures. That is actual history, but it's history that is going to happen in the future. I know that may sound a little crazy to people who don't study the 120 lessons, but in our lessons, we're taught that the original man writes his history before it even happens. And then he walks right into that history and lives it out to fulfill. So Musa or Moses' job wasn't going that way into the land of Egypt or Mizraim or Kemet. His job was going that way, up into the Caucasus Mountains, up into the land of EU, which we roped in the Caucasian man. For 2,000 years, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says he lost all knowledge of self and became a complete stone cold savage. So savage that he began to walk around on all fours like the other beasts and the animals by watching them and trying to mimic them. He didn't know that a human is more superior than the animals. He looked at them and thought, oh, well, I'm supposed to be doing the same thing. So some of the Caucasian men and women, their spines allowed them to hunch all the way over and walk around as animals on all fours. Look at our people today in the hood. Look at the same. Look how similar we are. When you look at niggas in the hood, drunk, high off of whatever. We all slumped over, yo, shut, nigga, yo, yeah. You know, dudes is talking all slurred and sounding ignorant and drunk, and just look at the similarities of how the white man elevated from out of the cave and how the black man elevated or was supposed to elevate from out of the condition that he was in, the projects. Just look at the similarities. Look at the level of ignorance and savagery that the black man was partaking in. When I was a child, I used to like watching movies like, what was that, Captain Caveman, and what was the other one, Thunder the Barbarian, and you know how they, you know, just showed these cavemen, you know, but of course back then you didn't realize, you know, the lifestyle of a caveman or some Neanderthal or Java man or whatever the case may be. So it was cool. But as we grew older and looked back, we was like, wait a minute, and began studying African history. Hold on, black people, we were never cavemen. We never lived in no caves ever since our inception on this planet. 2000 BC means before Christ. This all took place 2,000 years ago before the birth of the man called Jesus. Therefore, these events took place a little over 4,000 years ago. Now, most of the scholars use BCE, which means before the Christian era or before Christ's era. In the Asiatic world, it was the 11,000 year. When it says the Asiatic world, it's talking about the real Asiatic schedule or calendar that works according to a 25,000 year period. That's the true universal calendar of Allah God himself. The actual year of the birth of Christ Jesus was 13,053, according to our Asiatic calendar. So the Asiatic year of 11,000 was actually 2,053 years before Christ. Just to put the dates and the timeline in perspective according to our Asiatic calendar, not going by the calendar of Pope Gregory or the Gregorian calendar, most commonly known. Civilize means to teach the knowledge and wisdom of the human families of the planet Earth. Civilize is to come out of a primitive or savage state of mind, educate or enlighten and refined. To be civilized means to have a highly developed society and culture. When a people are properly enlightened to the knowledge of themselves and God, they become civilized. Naturally, they become a civilized people. When a people are trained up in wisdom by the proper guidance, their thoughts become one with Allah. And as Sister Ava Muhammad once said in a lecture, I once heard her say, they cooperate with God and begin to create, just as the woman cooperates with her man and is a co-creator. Same thing. The woman is the key to civilizing any people, because if you want to destroy an individual, as the saying goes, if you want to destroy an individual, you kill a man. If you want to destroy an entire nation of people, you kill the female. That is so powerful in that. The messenger taught us that no nation can rise higher than its woman. Therefore, the woman must be cultivated first before you can raise any nation. A wise man can measure the level of civilization of a people by the standard of its woman. So the wise man, when they look at a nation and determine the intelligence and the level of civilization, the woman or the female is the criterion. She's the standard or the measuring stick that we look at and say, oh, wait a minute. It's just like if I come in your house and I see your wife acting all ratchet, popping off, just acting like a stone cold savage. But you over there, peace, God, peace, peace. Or peace, you know, my brother, or assalamu alaikum, my brother, or whatever, shalom. I don't care what you professing. You're not that. Why? because she's your reflection. She shouldn't be acting the way she's acting. You should have done checked that long time ago and got that in order and in alignment with your reflection as a civilized person. So the 5%, we are a group of civilized people. There's two groups. There's a white group and there's an Asiatic group. The white group is the Muslim sons. The Asiatic group is the Muslim gods. Two groups. A civilized person is a person who lives in and understands a high civilization. And their job is to produce, or from out of the young minds in their society, their job is to raise them to a higher level of consciousness, or to the highest levels of consciousness, so that they can reach their ultimate potential, which is the supreme being, God, Allah, of this whole entire universe. He's a human being. He's not a ghost or a spirit. It's a human being. But we have to be cultivated and grown properly into that manner. Lest we fall off the edge and become a stone cold savage as the Caucasian white man. So as I close, the messenger said, it's no need to keep calling the white man the devil all the time, and because a lot of our people act in the same manner. During the crack era in New York City, I'm from New York, so I can only speak about New York people. But in New York City, up in the Bronx and in Harlem, there was a man, well, not even a man, there was an individual. I'm not even going to call him a man. He was an animal. He was a monster. Preacher. The preacher's crew, these individuals ran around New York for decades, terrorizing, murder, chopping up bodies. The movie Paid in Full, there was a story about A.Z. and Rich Porter up in Harlem. And one of his little brother got kidnapped and held for ransom. And they chopped his finger off and sent it back to him just to let him know, yo, we not playing. Get that bread, we not playing. They never came up with the money. They killed a little boy. That was Preacher's crew. He had a crew that he would run around with, nothing but ghouls and goblins. Like these niggas had tattoos. They call themselves the janitors. Because after they chop bodies up and murder something, their job was to get rid of the body. And by getting rid of the body, they would chop up all of their bodies, put them in garbage bags, and take them out. They had real killers scared of them. That's how evil this individual was. There's a documentary about him on YouTube. You can look and check it out. But this is pure evil. He wasn't a gangster. He was a monster. Just look at that. Gangsters have some sort of, level of, okay, there's rules to this thing here and there. But, the crack era, when that came in, it ushered in a whole new level of savagery. So, as I close, family, Biggie, what was the song? 10 Crack Commandments. What was the first bar he said? I've been in this game for years. It made me an animal. There's rules to this shit. I wrote me a manual. I've been in this game for years. It made me an animal. Just think of that. It made our people cold-hearted killers. The white man put crack cocaine in the black community and then taught us how to move it, how to get money, how to be evil and ruthless in order to get the money. So when he put movies like Scarface out and stuff, well, Scarface had a weakness because Scarface ain't want to kill the little boy in that scene, remember? But during the 80s and 90s era in New York, some of the people that I knew and I grew up around, man, that kid would have got it. That kid would have got his brains blown up with everybody else because they had no regard for human life. So, inshallah, family, stay on your degrees, stay studying. As the Christians say, stay prayed up. We, as 5%ers, we say stay studied up. You know what I'm saying? So that you can show and prove your greatness as a supreme being, God. So with that being said, family, I leave you as I came in the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum. Peace to the gods, peace to the earths, and all of the righteous families of the planet. Peace.